is Rossi Bites.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Brian. In today's video, I want to walk through a process of taking an idea that you have in your mind and turning it into a prototype or MVP. And if you're like me, I am an ideas guy, but I very often have a difficult time turning my ideas into something actual or tangible. And so I'm going to walk through the process that I've been going through a lot lately to turn a lot of my ideas into actual things. It all starts with ideating. And so I had an idea that I wanted to create a task tracking application. So what I did was I come over to ChatGPT and I'm going to give it a prompt that you can see here. I want to create a cool and fun task tracking application. It should be responsive, mobile first, and modern styling and layouts. The basic functions should include some metrics on the home screen that allow you to see task-related metrics. There should be the ability to enter in the details of a task via a stepper type modal. First, I'd like you to recommend 5 creative names for this app, and then I'd like you to provide me ideas on the functionality this app should have in an outlined format. So just like that, ChatGPT is going to be able to give me a lot more information about my task tracking application than I probably have in my mind right now. So it's inspiring things. All right, so looking at these 5 names that it gave me, I think the one that I like the most is called Donezo. So we're going to go with the name Donezo. Fun, casual, and playful, conveying the satisfaction of completing tasks. And then here we go, functionality ideas for the task tracking app, home screen metrics and dashboard, streak counter, category distribution, upcoming deadlines, productivity trends, focus zone widget. Then we have the task creation via a stepper modal, and it breaks that down into steps as well. Task list and details view, performance and analytics, user experience features. So this is great. It gives you a lot of information that you otherwise would have had to sit around and think about for a long time. And so what you could do is take something like this, for example, and just copy it into a Word or Google Doc or something and start thinking about how you want to expand on each of these things. So just to see what we're going to actually get from just this basic information, I'm going to do one more prompt that's going to say, okay, I want to go with the name Donezo. Please create a prompt that is optimized for Bolt.new into logical small sections to begin building this app. Please produce each prompt in a plain text code block format, and when there are steps involved, note them in a sequential formatting structure. So I'm going to go ahead and send this in. And if you're not familiar with what Bolt.new is, it is an amazing AI code generation platform that I've recently started using. There are other ones out there as well, like Lovable, and I'm just blown away by how you can take some prompts, pass it in, and it just immediately starts to create really nice looking applications. So you can see the first prompt here is setting up the basic framework of the application. It says, create a responsive web application called Donezo for task tracking. Use a mobile-first approach with modern styling. It even recommends what types of CSS to use for the styling. And then it tells it to start going through and doing these following 5 things. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this prompt, and I'm going to come over to Bolt.new, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste in the prompt. And what Bolt's going to do is it's going to take that prompt and ingest it. And so it's going to come up and say, I'll help you create the Donezo task tracking application with React Router and a responsive design. So you'll see that it starts coding out the files over here on the right. You can see your chat context over here on the left. There's also a preview screen over here on the right that you'll be able to see what it's created once it's done. And just like that, you can see that it's already created something really quickly. And it provides you a little bit of a UI that you can get an idea of how things are going to look. So I kind of like these colors. I don't necessarily like all of this down here, but you can see that it's created a checkmark type logo for the actual site. So I'm not going to get too much into styling quite yet. I'm going to show you how we can continue building this out using the prompts that ChatGPT created. Okay, so we'll come back over to step 2. So design the home screen with metrics. So we're going to go ahead and just copy this. I'm not even going to read it, but I'm going to come over here and copy this, paste it in here. Going to go ahead and send this in. So it looks like this is going to add in our metrics, streak counter, upcoming deadlines, category distribution. So that's going to be kind of all the analytics type stuff that I was looking for it to have based on my initial prompt. You can see it's even creating dummy data for me over here. Now, one of the things you could do with your dummy data, because it's not typically a good idea to put it in your actual components or pages, is you could have Bolt put it in a separate file, like a data folder with some JSON data files, for example. Wow, look at that. So now we have our dashboard, we have our little metrics tiles up here at the top, we have category distribution, so we can get an idea of what types of tasks we're doing, what we have for upcoming deadlines, etc. Like, that's amazing. It would take me forever to be able to code this on my own and get it to look anything like this. So let's come over and grab another prompt here so that we can actually create a task. So this is prompt 3. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. We're going to go ahead and paste it in here. And we'll go ahead and send off this prompt. Now this one looks a little bit more involved, so it'll be interesting to see how well it creates this task creation modal. This is awesome. So we come in here and now we have an actual create task button. And when we create that, it comes up with a stepper-based modal to create a task. So I'm going to just do Brian test task, run errands. This is going to be for personal. It's a low priority, so I'm going to go ahead and click next. Schedule, it's going to ask me for a due date. Start date is going to be today. It's not a recurring task, but I'm going to go ahead and click next. And Bolt does this a lot. So sometimes you're going to actually get problems detected, and it's going to, you can expand this and see what the problem is. Now, not being a developer, I have no idea what this is being caused by. So what I like is you can choose to attempt to fix this. One thing I have noticed is when Bolt does attempt to fix things, sometimes it completely rewrites the code. So when we go back in and look at the modal again, it might look completely different than it did when we were just in here. That's one thing I'm trying to work my way around, but I like the fact that it's able to diagnose the problem and then correct the problem. Okay, we'll create task. We'll set the due date to the 20th. Today's the 19th. We'll go to next. Okay, it's coming up and saying problems again. I wonder if it's going to actually let me go through anything here. So grocery. Okay, so let me add grocery. We'll do gas. We'll do dog food. It gives us an option here to add attachments to our task, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just click next. I can see a summary of my task, and I'll say save task. Okay, so one of the things I can see is that when I create a task, I can't actually see my tasks anywhere on the home screen here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to fix that other problem. But regardless of the error coming up like it's done twice now, you saw how quick I was able to take an idea that I had, use ChatGPT to help me come up with ideas and inspiration for functionality that my app should have, and then going over and using another tool called Bolt.new to actually build out an initial prototype of my idea. And it created it just like that. I mean, it wasn't even 3 minutes. So from this point, you can now work with Bolt.new and kind of go back and forth in an iterative format to get the application built and doing what you want it to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and also say, when I create a task in the modal, I want my new task and the details of it to display on the home screen. So just using natural language, you can come in and tell it what you want it to do, and it will go out, read that prompt, and then it will actually develop the code to help you be able to do that. Okay, so I noticed now when it created the new code, it changed some things, and I don't see this category distribution thing coming up anymore. I don't see anything under upcoming tasks. This may be because I asked it to start now displaying my actual tasks that I create on the screen, so it's not necessarily going to use dummy data like it was before, but let's try it out and see if that's the case. Okay, so we're going to say create task. I'm just going to click next. I'll see the summary of my task, and I'll say save task. And we'll see that we have a task right here on the upcoming deadlines. and the category distribution is now showing personal because that's all I've created so far. So I'm going to go ahead and create another one here. See a review of my task. I'll save that as well. You'll now see that there's a 50-50 split of the category distribution taking place. And we can see here that we have active tasks, total tasks, how many tasks we've completed, and what our task completion rate is. So that's really cool that we have this type of functionality available just by putting in natural language prompts. I do still see a potential problem being detected over here, but for right now, I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so let's come back over to ChatGPT just to show one more thing here. We're going to go to prompt 4. Develop the task list and details view. So we're going to go ahead and copy this prompt over, and it's going to show how we can actually display the actual tasks within the app itself. So we'll go ahead and paste this prompt in and just send it over. Okay, so it says it's created a task card component, a task detail modal component, a tasks page, and it talks about the styling that it's using for that. So let's go ahead and try it out again. So I'm going to say create task, click next and see a summary of my task, and then I'll say save task. So I'm not sure exactly where I'm supposed to be able to open up my task and see details on it. Let me see if I go under this tasks here. So this looks like the tasks page, but there's nothing being shown here. And if I go back, it obviously gets rid of what I put in because it's just temporarily storing that in browser cache. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it when I create a task, I would like it to persist on the home screen, and I'd like all of the details of my task with the ability to mark them complete based on the subtasks on both the home screen and the tasks screen. So this will be the last step to see how it handles this particular prompt. So we're going to go ahead and see what it codes for us here. And you'll see as I put in those natural language prompts, not being a developer, it tells me to make the tasks persist across both screens and maintain their state, we need to lift the state up to a shared context. I'll help you implement this using React context. I wouldn't even know to do that. So that's another part of it that just blows my mind. And as you can see, this I've detected a problem thing has come up several times. It's not uncommon for these large language models to do this. So hopefully we won't see too many more of those. Here we go. We have our app back up. So we're going to go ahead and create a new task. Okay, so we see the task here on the home screen. If we go to the tasks page, we see the actual task here as well. If we open it up, we can see the details of the task. It looks like we could probably check this off to mark it as complete. I see the various subtasks underneath it. So what I'm going, and it looks like we have some filtering options here as well. That's pretty cool. So what I want to do now for the last step is going to be to have the ability to expand the details of this task and then check off each of the subtasks to consider it complete or not complete. And one of the cool things is you can come up and just take a screenshot like this, and you can use that as context for Bolt. And you can say, on this screen, I would like to be able to expand and collapse the task and its details. I would like to be able to individually check off as complete each of the subtasks. And when all subtasks have been completed, mark the entire task as complete. Make sure to reflect the completion on the home screen. So it's now going to take a look at the image of the actual app where I'm talking about, and then it's going to write the code necessary to provide that functionality. Okay, so here we go. We have our card that we can now expand and collapse. and I have the various subtasks that were part of this particular task here. And you can see 0 of 3 subtasks completed. So if I go ahead and check off groceries, you'll see that it crosses it out and puts a check mark. Gas, I'll do the same thing. And then chicken feed, I'll check that one off. And you'll now see 3 of 3 subtasks completed, and it put a check mark for the overall task itself. So if we go back to the home screen now, we can see that our task completion rate is 100%, 1 task completed, and we've completed a total of 1 task. So that's pretty awesome, isn't it? To be able to take your idea, turn it into an application that works like this. Now, obviously, this isn't a fully functioning application. This is using mock data and browser session storage. What you could do from here is Bolt and other services offer you the ability to connect up to Supabase. Supabase would actually give you the ability to add some back-end functionality to this application, and it's directly integrated right into it. So you could actually turn this into a money-making application. Hope you found this content useful. If you did, please click like and subscribe. I'll continue making content like this. Thank you and have a great day.